Well, greetings, car fam. Emily Reeves back at it for another episode of State of the Build here on the Peak Auto YouTube channel. I love hosting this series, and I do monthly uploads where I get to chat with fellow content creator, builder, gearheads like myself. I'm here in Flying Sparks Garage, and today we are going to be discussing, and covering the build of my friend BryceCold, who originally I met on Instagram. I actually had the honor of meeting in person at Power Tour week before last. Wasn't last week, but week before last. And man, is his car awesome, and I have so much respect for the dude. I mean, he's a freaking beast, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear why. So what do you say we shoot him a text? Bryce, what's going on, dude? Hope it is an enjoyable day in California for you. Thank you for taking the time to toss some videos back and forth with me on your 1970 Coronet, which you actually don't have in person with you. And we get to tell everybody why that is when we're tossing videos back and forth. But I was so impressed with seeing your car in person on Power Tour a couple of weeks ago, and we got to meet and hang out, and it was just a really good time. Lots of fun memories. One particular hilarious memory I will drop in right here whenever Aaron and I were rolling into the venue one day.
Hey guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, oh no, not that. Dang it.
So great. So, dude, I want to start from scratch with your car and the history you have with this. I am unaware when you got it, what the story is with the car. Maybe it was your grandfather's car or something like that. Tell me the scoop on when you got this car and what state it was in when you acquired it.
Dude, Emily, what is happening? Thank you for having me on here, and also thank you to the Peak YouTube channel for hosting me. This is super, super cool. So, yeah, obviously, as you can tell, the Coronet is not here, and my wife's car is now occupying my bomb dump of a garage because I just got freaking parts everywhere from my Thrash for Power Tour. But, yeah, so back in 2014, I was a tow truck driver for AAA, and I was towing this guy's Honda up to his grandparents' house. And I looked over, and boom, there it was. It was covered in moss and mold. There was duct tape on the windows and plastic and stuff like that. It was pretty gross. So yeah, it was insane. I thought it was going to be like a huge undertaking when I first got it, but it actually turned out to be in really, really good shape. Hardly any rust whatsoever. And it also had 762 original miles, verified under 1,000, and it's incredible. The car was just never driven. It was built in Los Angeles, sold in Oakland, went through a couple of owners before me, and they basically just drove it for like a little bit and parked it and just never drove the thing. So it was a 318 and 904 automatic car, and I daily drove it like that for 7 years. And then within the last year and a half, I did the 6.1 liter Hemi swap with a bunch of goodies, and we can talk about that later.
That is insane, that mileage. Holy moly. What a survivor of a car. I love that. So you daily drove it with the 318, and obviously it was a rad car, but what made you decide to do the Hemi swap? Obviously, I love doing engine swaps and putting modern engines in old cars, but what inspired you to do that on this car? Because, gosh, being so low mileage and numbers matching, I'm sure you were like, this is crazy. And, you know, I'm sure the purists were like, boy. But I totally approve. I love it.
Yeah. I definitely got a lot of crap from the purists or whatever for doing it. But as far as it being like an original numbers matching car, like it is, but it was, it's a Coronet 440 model, and 440 doesn't mean engine, it's just the model of the car. It wasn't a very like high dollar option car, so it wasn't a huge deal to pull the original engine out and start doing everything that I wanted to. Now, if it was an original like 446 pack V code car or something like that, it'd be a little bit different, but 318, 904, just a lower trim level car, it was perfectly fine. Dude, my whole thing is the car was original once, it doesn't have to be again. So if I can do anything to my car that looks cool or will help performance or handling or shoot even safety, I'm gonna do it. There's no reason to just not do any of those things because it has to be original. Like, that's not cool. So as far as the Hemi goes, I actually wasn't planning on doing a Hemi swap. I had a 340 motor here at my house that I was going to build some crazy high RPM revving engine for it, but another friend of mine from Bay Area Classic Mopars, he sent me a message and he was like, hey dude, I've got a friend of mine that's selling a 2007 6.1 liter Hemi with a Nag 1 5-speed automatic. He's like, he's going to sell it to me or a friend of mine for the good buddy discount of $3,000. So if you're interested, let me know. And I was like, shut up and take my money. So I went home, grabbed cash, and then that weekend I drove down there and picked the engine up. As soon as I got the engine back here, it was immediate thrash and starting to tear the car apart and start the Hemi swap process. So basically, like, the motivation for doing the Hemi swap over the other engine is, one, it's brand new technology, so maintenance is very low. It's reliable. They get really good fuel mileage. A lot of people think that just because it's got the Hemi name in front of it that it's going to suck gas. If you have your foot mashed all the way to the floor, of course, but with the Dodge Viper T56 6-speed I had in the car and the tall tire, on Power Tour, I was getting an average of 27 miles to the gallon. Yeah, it was insane. We had to like verify it a couple times to make sure that was right, and it was getting 27 miles to the gallon the whole time on Power Tour, and I couldn't ask for a better setup. 460-ish horsepower and 27 miles to the gallon. Insane.
Well, that makes sense. You didn't molest a highly collectible car, so I'm sure the purists would go a little easier on you. I'm not as knowledgeable in the Mopar department, so I like them though. Like, your car has such a mean presence. I am such a fan. Dude. Okay, so this is the perfect intro into telling these folks why you're such a beast coming to Power Tour. If they've put two and two together, I mentioned California, and if they're aware that Power Tour started in Memphis, Tennessee, you drove this car thousands and thousands of miles. That is what's most impressive to me. You drove your 1970 model muscle car with all this horsepower and all of these old parts, some new parts, but a lot of, original stuff, I would imagine. Maybe you've done like full, suspension and brakes. Maybe you have. Even still, it's freaking impressive. How many miles did you cover doing Power Tour a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, that was a crazy haul. So from my house to the start of Power Tour in Memphis, Tennessee was just about 2,200 miles in a car that was virtually untested, aside from just driving maybe 30, 40 miles around my house, and then hey, let's just hop in and drive across the country. So it was me in my car, and then my buddy Wyatt in his 69 Roadrunner. So it was 2,200 miles from my house all the way across the United States. So we went up Highway 80, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, down through Missouri, into Arkansas, and then into Tennessee from there. So that was 2,200 miles, and then with the rest of Power Tour included with that, the car drove a total of 3,400 miles. And like, I just couldn't believe it, man. Like, a car that I basically just over the last year slammed together, and then the last 6 months of that was just kind of rechecking stuff and making sure everything was right. And then I was running out of time, so I got the alignment done and hit the road basically. So super proud of the car. It did freaking awesome. 3,400 miles in total so far, because the car is sitting at my buddy's house in Georgia right now, Jacob Davis. And in September, I'll fly back out, grab the car, drive up to Bowling Green, Kentucky for Holly Mo Party, do that for 3 days, and then drive the whole car back across the United States to my home here in California, which is it's crazy, but it's so much fun, man. I had a blast doing it.
Oh, right, because you didn't leave Power Tour and drive home. You left the car with Jake in Georgia. 3,400 miles or over 3,000 miles. That is still so impressive. I mean, especially with gas prices these days. I know down in the comment section they're going to be all, you had to have spent a ton of money on gas. I got those comments a lot on Instagram when we were gone on the trip. I'm like, yep. We did. But golly gee, Betty didn't get freaking almost 30 miles per gallon. She got like 10. Anyway, freaking awesome, dude. I love how the car adventures continue, like Mo Party's coming up. So we touched on what engine you're running, what transmission you're running. Tell us what other mods you have done to the car. You were in the QA1 booth on Power Tour, so I know you got some QA1 tidbits in there. Tell us what you got as far as suspension, brakes, safety, other fun mods. Give us the rundown.
So as far as fuel cost goes, I budgeted $2,000 for food and gas on the trip, and I only spent like just over $1,200. The car was running really, really efficiently, so that saved me quite a bit of money. It's really nice. So as far as all of the goodies that are in the car, so yeah, it's got a full QA1 level 3 handling kit, front and rear dual adjustable shocks, and that car handles so amazing. It feels like a new car, honestly. But my only limiting factor with that is the tire that I'm running. So I've got Mickey Thompson tires, front and rear. The rears are their like street radial drag type tire. It's a 275 6015 ET Street SS tire, and those things are all grip, no slip whatsoever. It's friggin' amazing. As far as all of the Gen 3 Hemi swap components go, it all comes from Holley. So that's their mounts, their brackets, and then the components that you're going to need to do the Hemi swap, such as the 3-core aluminum frostbite radiator with their 16-inch Spall fan. It's got the Holley pressure-reduced power steering pump, Hooker Blackheart engine 7/8 primary tube to 3-inch collector long tube headers, and a full Hooker Blackheart exhaust all the way out the back. That's specific for the Gen 3 Hemi and 66 270B body Mopars. Hey Wyatt, give me a couple revs. Yeah. All right. Let's head out of here. And then it's also got their the Holley Terminator X Max engine management system. So that runs the engine and the drive-by-wire throttle body. So no cable operated throttle body. It's all electronic. And to me, I like that better. It's really nice. It's also got a Borgeson steering box and an I Did It steering column. And Borgeson also has the couplers that allow you to connect to an I Did It steering column or a factory column if you have that. So my I Did It steering column is I think it's the first one they made specifically for the 68 to 70B body Mopars that is key in column and tilt. I believe they said I got the first one, which I'm like blown away about. So that's really, really cool. So as far as the braking system goes, it's got Willwood disc brakes up front, and I've got like a factory type 11-inch drum brake in the rear, and they stop perfectly fine. So there was no need for right now to do a rear disc brake kit, but that is in the future from Willwood as well. I'm also running a Hydrotech Hydro Boost system instead of a power booster, because I do plan on adding a pretty beefy cam to this thing, and I want to still be able to have all the braking power that I do. So the Hydro Boost system is phenomenal. Like, you sneeze on the brake pedal and you're going through the windshield. It's that intense. Now, as far as safety items go in the car, it's got a full painless wiring harness in the car, because the factory harness in that thing was really, really bad. It had a bunch of like frayed open grounds. It was a fire hazard waiting to happen. So it got rewired with a full painless wiring harness kit, and everything works phenomenally. All the switches, lights are super bright, how it's supposed to be, safe, no more bad wiring. It's got a US Car Tools chassis stiffening kit, so that's front and rear torque boxes with subframe connectors on both sides, and that really stiffens up the car, because when you do high horsepower cars, especially with a lot of torque, these unibody Mopars, they can twist, so you really want to stiffen those things up, and US Car Tools has a complete chassis stiffening kit for those cars. Not just front and rear torque boxes and subframe connectors, but they've also got like fender braces and core support braces and stuff for the back of the car too, and I do plan on doing that as well. As far as the rear end goes, it's an 8 3/4 Mopar rear end, and I also have a Dr. Diff 6 helical sure grip unit in there, 489 case, crush sleeve eliminator, and the gearing is 373s, and that really helps out on the highway, but it's also a good enough gear ratio to where I can just smoke anybody I want to first through fourth gear. It's awesome. And last but not least, Custom F and Customs here in Auburn, California, did a roll bar and harness bar in the car, and it's a 4-point harness bar. So they both go down through the rear package tray, weld into my rear subframes, and then the front 2 bars behind the driver and passenger seat are boxed in, and I'm just running a loop-through style safety harness on both seats. So if anything were to ever happen, my head's not going to get crushed, and those harnesses are going to hold me in. I think that's about it. But yeah, that thing is far from stock, but I basically built it in a way to make it look like that it's factory, but when you get up close, you're like, oh, there's actually a lot of really nice stuff on here. So if I'm going to do a Gen 3 Hemi, I want to make sure that I'm safe, and I've got all of the proper parts that I should have on there to do that swap.
Gosh, you have a impressive mod list going there. Man, I bet she does drive like a dream. You know, with that tire combo, I'm sure it grips well on the street, but then with the suspension tracking well and stopping well with the Willwood brakes, and that steering column and steering box sound rad. Like, that's not one of those sexy performance mods that you're like, ooh, I got a really nice steering box and a really adjustable steering column. But man, would that help the drivability and comfort of it. Like, I love that. That's really cool. You've done such a good job on this car. I wish I would have looked closer. I mean, we walked around the car a little bit, but gosh, I wish I would have laid underneath it and looked at all of those components. Really, really good job. I'm so proud of you. So, is there anything on your mod list that you haven't done yet that you want to do on that car? Are you going to boost it or do anything like that? Or do you feel like she's just ready to rip? And I mean, my gosh, the sickness is so real. Like, as soon as they're done, they're never really done. But what's on your list next? And if there isn't anything, I commend you.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge, crazy mod list, and I'm super happy that I got to have all these companies' parts in the car, because it just makes it that much better. But you know, I like the way the car drives now. I mean, it's efficient, it's powerful, it's a lot of fun. I'd like to fine tune it, you know, a little bit more and kind of work out some of the bugs. But well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think maybe when I come back from Holly Mo party, not immediately, but like a little bit further ahead after that, this is just going to completely negate everything I just said. I think I might be working with American Powertrain to do a T56 Magnum in the thing instead of the Viper T56. And then I'd like to do different heads. I'd like to do a big cam swap, a different intake, and maybe some sort of like a boost apparatus. I don't know. I haven't decided that yet, but I do like Pro Chargers. I like the way they mount up. I like the way they sound. So if I do anything boosted, I'll probably will go the Pro Charger route. But yeah, that's just future stuff. But as the car is right now, it is pretty awesome. It drives good, and I freaking love that thing.
You see, this is what I'm talking about when I say that we have a sickness as gearheads. You're like, you know what? The car's pretty good. You know, it just needs some fine tuning. But when I get back, I'm going to pull the engine and change the transmission and add different heads, maybe do a cam swap. Heck, I might boost it. We ain't right. But it's awesome. I love it. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to toss these videos back and forth with me. Even with our internet challenges, this usually doesn't take very long, but for some reason today it was into the evening. But I really appreciate you taking the time, and huge shout out to you. I hope everyone that watches this video subscribes to your YouTube channel, because I know what a hustle it is to make videos and build a channel. So hopefully everybody that watches this video shows some support and subscribes. And I'll see you at the next awesome event that we end up at.
All right, guys, that's it. This has been a lot of fun. Huge thank you, Emily, for inviting me to do this. And even bigger thank you to Peak Auto for allowing me to come on to your YouTube channel so I can talk about myself and my car. And man, this has been a blast, and I really, really appreciate it. But yes, Emily, I do plan on seeing you at some sort of future car event, whether it's going to be Power Tour or Duct Tape Drags or something else. But I will see you there. The car will be back. It will be better. I'll have to take you for a ride and scare you a little bit, because it's fun now. But anyway, thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it. You're awesome. We'll see you later.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the rundown of Bryce's car as much as I did. I have so much respect for somebody who jumps in their car that they freshly did a motor swap on and drives it across the country. His buddy Wyatt's car did not end up making the whole trip, but Wyatt jumped in the passenger seat with him in the Coronet and they had a blast. And you know, down in the comment section, let me know, have you ever done Hot Rod Power Tour? Because that is an event that you really cannot understand until you do it in an old car. Lots of people do it in like new or modern cars with AC, and that's a totally awesome experience, but totally different. Aaron and I have done it, gosh, the first year we did it was 2007 for our honeymoon in Roxy when she was pretty much bone stock. I think I just had exhaust on it at the time. And since then, we've done it many, many times in different vehicles with varying comforts. And every year it's amazing and different and brutal and cannot wait for the next year kind of deal. So tell me down in the comment section if you guys have done Power Tour or if it's on your bucket list. I know for Bryce, that was a dream for him to do Power Tour. So I really admire his courage and his gumption to save up that money and make it happen for himself. Good on you, Bryce. We're all proud of you. And you know, thousands of people do it every year. So it's an awesome event. Huge thanks to Peak for having me produce this series for you guys. Please let me know who you would like to see down in the comment section on a future episode. As always, I'm honored for you guys to be taking your time to watch these videos. Please like and subscribe and comment below. Every little bit helps that y'all do, so it's much appreciated, and we will see you on the next episode.